Welcome to the Smokin Tobacco Show with your hosts, Matt Tobacco and Smokin Nicole.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Smokin Tobacco Show. My name is Matt Tobacco from SmokinTobacco.com, and I am joined once again by my beautiful wife, Smokin Nicole. It has been a busy week. It's been a busy week. There's just a lot going on. I'm still trying to get my head straight. Going into the show today, I can't believe it's already Thursday. I feel like it's still Monday, but you know, such is life, right? So, anyway, let's get into it. We have a guest with us once again this week. We have Mr. Kevin Gold of Rock-A-Feller Cigars. Kevin, welcome to the Smokin Tobacco Show.
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing really well. Just plugging away, burning cigars. How are you doing today?
Good. Burning a cigar right now, chilling out, relaxing in the mobile lounge as usual.
In the mobile lounge, are you gonna hotbox that mobile lounge or what?
No, well, if I'm by myself, no, I'm not gonna hotbox it. That's a beautiful day here in South Florida.
Yeah, no, I don't smoke a lot in the car. I do from time to time. I remember I was down in Florida a few weeks ago, and I was with my friend John Carney, and we were getting in his truck. I'm like, "Can we smoke in your truck?" And he was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I smoke in there all the time. You would never know." And I opened it up, and I'm like, "Yeah, you can tell." And of course, he disagreed with me, but I don't know. I don't like. I'll smoke in my car. I don't want to smoke in my truck though. That's my thing.
Right.
I haven't done it that first time, but it's like all things, because it's still kind of new and it's nice, and I'm like, I don't want to smoke it here yet. But it's like once that first time happens, and that smell doesn't go away, then it's gonna be like, fuck it, let's just smoke in here. I don't care. But in my car, I
Yeah.
smoke. I smoke in my car because I usually it doesn't really bother me as
He
much.
drives with that. So.
Yeah. So, but whatever. That's my last truck I smoked in, and then it got wrecked, and I got a new one, and then I was like hesitant to smoke in this one, and I don't know. Anyway, and so I get it. The car smoking, it is fun to do. I get too particular sometimes because I'm too much of a
We're just garage smoking.
Yeah.
That's just a step above.
yeah garage smoking. I mean that's
Garage.
it
Well, it
works.
depends. I mean, if you shut definitely hotbox it.
Mm. Oh, in the wintertime,
Yeah.
we keep the
That
doors
could be
closed.
dangerous.
Yeah.
We keep the doors closed, and it does hotbox a little bit, but we have a couple of rabbit air units. It usually takes good care of the smoke, so not so much. I will say with rabbit air, right? Since it came up, the rabbit air. Look, they're good units. I recommend. I think two probably are going to work better than one. Especially with one, like one or two people, maybe three. Actively smoking. With one running, it's pretty good. At most, it's going to eat the smoke. It's not going to get the smell away if you're going for the smell. Two,
Right.
a lot better. But yeah, the rabbit airs, I would say the smell reduction is kind of secondary, and it's not like 100%. It does a pretty good job, but it's not 100%. It's more so for us, it eats the smoke. It does eat the smoke, so it doesn't get so hazy and cloudy. You're not coughing, your eyes are not burning. That helps with that. The smell is just kind of secondary. So while we're on that topic, we do have a review of the Rabbit Air A3. It's going to be dropping on Smokin Tobacco. Hopefully next week. I'm not sure. We're still working on it, but still putting it all together. But so keep an eye out for that. I just wanted to grab that since that just came up. But Kevin, tonight is about Rock-A-Feller Cigars. So Rock-A-Feller is a brand. How long has Rock-A-Feller been around for?
It started in 2010 and wasn't involved in it in 2010. I got involved in the brand in 2014. I was partners in it when I was leaving Wall Street, and I ended up buying the whole thing and redid everything in 2016.
Nice. So you weren't the founder of the brand. This is something you kind of got into later on.
No, it was founded by It was founded by two people. One person is related to somebody who's in the cigar industry, and another guy who's related to Rockefeller.
Okay. So
Hence where the name is used.
right. So I picked up on something. You said you worked on Wall Street. So what did you do on Wall Street?
Depends what time. So when I was a teenager, I was selling stocks to people on the phone. They thought I was way older. You know what I mean? And my father used to do a little business in Canada. So I went up there and I got hooked up on gold mines with some geologists. And when I left, I didn't go into college. I went right into Wall Street. And I was like handing out my resume to people, whatever. And I got a job eventually. And I was trading South African. Well, I wasn't trading. I was working with this guy, Paul Carlino, and trading South African gold stocks.
Okay.
And back then they would move like crazy. And I reached out to Newman and Barrick originally because before I went into Wall Street, I wanted to be a miner. That was my thing, right? I was like obsessed with going into gold mines. I wanted to be a miner. I didn't do that, but I started going to crazy countries and working with the World Gold Council and governments in areas where high risk trading gold and silver with investment bankers out of New York. That's what I did
Wow.
from like 28 to 42.
Wow.
And then my son was born when I was 42 and I didn't go anywhere. I would have been stabbed if I went somewhere at 42.
So
My wife would have killed me.
So you're from New York. You work on perhaps one of the most famous streets in New York. Not the only one. There's several of them, but one of the famous streets, Wall Street. And it's funny how you say that. You wanted to be a miner. You wanted to go into mines and look for gold, but then you end up trading gold in a suit and tie versus in a pair of jeans down in the mine. So you still kind of got into gold, just in a different way, which is interesting.
Well, no, I did both because I did go to those countries with investment bankers. So when Barrick and Newmont wanted to sell a piece of their mine, I would work with them and get the deal done. That's what I did.
Oh, so you would still go down in the mines?
Yeah, so they took us. So what? All right. So how do I explain this? So like in Argentina,
Yeah.
Peru,
Yeah.
or Chile, right? So if let's say Newmont bought a piece of a mine, right, and they had leftover part of the mine that they didn't want to explore that piece of the mine because to do mining and everything, you have to open up roads, you have to bring a lot of water, you have to have trucks, you need permits, and they worked with all the governments, and like Newmont employed 6,000 people for the Peruvian governments and the Argentinian government, so they were not going to let those, they were on their side, but they were destroying the water supply of like the indigenous people in those countries, the indigenous people and the investment bankers to get them to buy a piece of the mine once it was all cleared up. That's what we did. It's crazy.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
So you go from doing all of that to how exactly do you go into the cigar business? Like, was that always an idea? Was that something you always wanted to do? Were you always a cigar smoker? And then you were like, hey,
I was always a cigar smoker.
You always were, and then you get the idea like, hey, like I want to get involved in this brand. How does that come about?
So I was like getting burned from Wall Street because then after I was doing all that gold stuff, my son was born when I was 42, and I was like, I didn't want to work on a desk. I was done. You know what I mean? So I came back. I was on a desk now running program training for Schwab. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be on a desk. So I was like, you know what? I love cigars. I want to open up a cigar lounge. So I looked in Brooklyn by Barclays Center to open up a cigar lounge, but the prices on the rents I thought were ridiculous. And they weren't budging at all. So I was like, you know what? Let me go down with this retailer to IPCPR. I think it was 2014. And I met this guy and I got involved. And I said, you know, I'll be 50% partners, learn the business. And that's what I did.
Everyone's gonna start somewhere, but I like how you said that you wanted to you went to the trade show, you met with some people, and you found somewhere where you felt comfortable, you found something you were interested in, you buy in at 50%, you learn the business, and then you get to a point where you end up buying out the whole thing. So now you are the only owner of Rock-A-Feller Cigars.
Only 100% the only owner, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you and sorry, remind me again, what year was that when you first bought into it?
2016.
2016.
July.
All right, yeah. So I mean, so you're 6 years into this industry, really. That's it's depending on, I guess, who you ask. It's a lot of time. A lot can happen in 6 years, but then compared to a lot of these people in this industry, they'll tell you, that's that's like nothing, and not in a negative way, but just like, we were talking about before the show, just like how fast time travels,
It's amazing.
Yeah, so it's like, depending on how you look at it, but still 6 years, a lot can happen in that time, and you went from being, new to the industry, you were 50-50, you learned some more things, you now buy out the whole brand, and then you said, before we were talking, before the show, you were just coming back from Nicaragua, you were working on some blends, so it's like now you're down in Nicaragua, you're working on blends, you definitely got your hands really in the pot here, and it's got to be somewhat fun. I mean, I don't know, compared to what you're doing before, to me, it sounds more fun. You have a little bit more of your own creative control with your own, and you're your own boss. I mean, that who doesn't like that?
So to me, it's a lot of fun, and I love being involved in the blending process and going to Nicaragua. It was my first time down there since the pandemic. I went to the Dominican Republic because we have a factory we work with out of there called Tabacco L&B, which is Victor de la Cruz. I'm not sure if you guys know who he is.
I've heard the name, yeah.
He ran tobacco. Yeah, he was a production manager for Tobacco Dom, and Jose Valdez was running our factory in Nicaragua. So I used to go to Nicaragua more, but I haven't been at any of those places until the pandemic was over.
Yeah, I remember.
Snuck down to DR for a quick trip last year.
I remember when the pandemic first happened, and that was like the first thing that, like the manufacturers, like the owners and stuff, people like Steve Saka, and like all those people that they are always going back and forth to the factory, because they're always, they're working on blends and looking at stuff. It was like the first thing was like, shit, I can't get out of the country now. What am I gonna do? And I even think Carney said there was even one point they kind of had to sneak Lito Gomez like back into the country because he was either stuck in the DR and he couldn't get back here or vice versa. But he said something about one time they I don't know, they had to sneak him back in or something. It was when all the borders were closed and everything was closed and the travel was small, and so yeah, I mean that's definitely a struggle, I think, for a lot of people for a long time. I mean, I know people have been traveling, back in and out of the country now for about a year now, pretty regularly. But still, I mean, it
was great.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that is a plus too is that, do you still need to like have a COVID test like before you come in and out now, or can you do you still have to do that?
No, if you're vaccinated, you're fine.
You just go right in and out. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I remember hearing some horror stories, people who were like, oh, like I forgot to schedule the test, or like, people who were like, oh, I'm afraid to go because if I go down there and everything's fine, and then I take a test to come back, and then I can't come back, and then I'm stuck down there, and then, so I know that there's a lot of people.
But you could always go south to Costa Rica and get out to Costa Rica, which is more U.S. anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's more United States influence in Costa Rica, so you're not really stuck. You can get to Honduras north too.
Did you fly Avianca?
It's just been, yeah.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, everyone's like, oh, yeah, I'm flying Avianca. It was a great flight. Great flight. Easy airport because nobody else is flying there, so nobody was there.
Yeah.
We're off season now.
That's true.
It was a great experience.
Off season. Yeah, I've heard nothing.
And the guys I was with loved it.
Oh, yeah? Oh, that's good. Fly into Managua, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We haven't been down there yet. It's on our list. We've had a dozen invites to come to so many places, and Drew Estate and Perdomo, and it's on our list, and we haven't been down there yet, but we will at some point. I think we're going to be going to the Dominican first, either the end of this year or the beginning of next year. So that's going to be our first international cigar country factory tour expedition journey, whatever you want to call it. I think that'll be first. I think we'll do Nicaragua after. But it's on our list, and we're definitely excited for it. So, we look forward to that.
Nicaragua's, it's very safe. People make it like it's so scary, but it's not. I mean, as long as you do what you're supposed to do there, you're fine. But it's very safe. Especially to having the festival again in December. So.
Oh yes, that's true.
Or January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna try to do Pro Cigar and then Pura Sabor in Nicaragua. Probably, if not in 2024, maybe 2025. We'll have to see. But we're trying to get to all those other things. With scheduling and all that too. It's It can be a lot. We still work during the day too, so that comes into play. But yeah, no, it's definitely, it's got to be exciting to visit these other countries too, and see some things. There's a couple of things I wanted to hit because I did forget about it. I got excited for the guest and I forgot about the show duties. First of all, as our guest, what are you smoking tonight?
All right, so I was smoking the Unbanded, but right now I'm smoking Nicaragua Gold Series. It's a San Andreas box press with Nicaraguan fillers with some Pennsylvania broadleaf in it.
Ooh, Pennsylvania broadleaf. Some good tobacco.
Yeah, it's a Toro box press.
Nicole, what are you smoking?
I'm smoking the La Flor Dominicana TAA 50th Maduro.
Ooh. That's a good cigar. That cigar, that in its natural counterpart. Sorry, I was looking for the word. Its natural counterpart are some of my favorite cigars that LFD has put out in the last year. They do feature that signature chisel tip, and it just has so much flavor. And one of the things that I love about it is they use Criollo 99 for all their TAA blends that they grow down in the Dominican Republic. So creates a very unique flavor. It's one of my favorites that they make. I don't know if those are still. I'm sure there's some shops that have them, but they're probably not as widely available because they've already been out now for a little bit. And I know they're probably looking at the 2022 release. So if you can find them, you can check 2guyscigars.com. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. They may still have them in stock. I'm not sure. Or you can give Barry a call. Call Barry Stein at 2 Guys Cigars. I don't have the phone number, but you can look it up and call Barry Stein and see if they have them in the warehouse. I'm sure Barry would love to take care of you guys on those. Those are fantastic. I, myself, I'm going through some of my show samples. We were going to smoke Rock-A-Feller cigars, obviously because Kevin's here. And unfortunately, I had to order some because I didn't have any on hand, and I ordered them overnight, or not overnight, but express. Earlier in the week, thought they would have been here by now, and of course, wouldn't you know, they're not coming till tomorrow. So we don't have them here for the show tonight. It's a very rare occurrence that we don't have the cigars for our guests. I don't think we've ever missed that mark. So it unfortunately did happen, but you know, the show goes on and we still smoke. So I am smoking the Petoro Gran Añejo Reserva that I grabbed from the PCA trade show as I continue to. I'm about 3/4 of the way through all my show samples. Nicole's a little bit behind. Nicole's been busy with work, and then the first, a few weeks after the trade show, she still had COVID and long COVID, so she
my taste was off, so I wasn't gonna waste my palate.
Yeah. So now she's getting into her show samples, and she started with a couple. I won't say what they were, but she started with some, and they didn't go very well.
Yeah.
Don't even bring it out. Don't even bring it out. Just leave it.
I was gonna take the band off.
No, it's okay. Just leave it. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, there's a little murder pile. I don't know. I couldn't smoke some of them. They were bad.
The unfinishable pile.
Yeah.
It happens. It does happen. Kevin, and I'm sure this happens to you too. You guys are down in the factory. You're going through blends, and you have stuff that gets made, and then okay, well, let's try it. I'm sure you have test stuff that gets made, and you start smoking it, and very right away you're like, nah, this is just not where I want to be. That cigar just goes right down. How often does that happen?
Oh, are you kidding? I mean, you could have the Bancheros, they could have cigars with them, and we do a quality test and walk around and check it more than once to make sure every one of the cigars have no holes in them. They have nothing. No misplaced leaves. That's what we try to do.
Right.
So we have guys just walk around and test them in the factory.
Just smoke them right out of the pile.
No, so you could have 50 cigars rolled, let's say, right?
Mm.
And then they're going through each cigar, and one of them doesn't go up to quality. They just get rid of it.
Oh, you mean like? Oh, okay. Okay. Now, I know in some factories they'll just do spot smoking. They'll go around and they'll just grab a random cigar off of each roller's table.
Yeah, we do that too.
Just cut them, light them.
Yep.
And be like, okay. And I know, like in some factories, they'll if a cigar doesn't, at a random test, if a cigar doesn't go right, they actually take the roller out of the rolling line, and they disassemble that cigar. They try to figure out what went wrong with it. And I think Perdomo does this too with the draw testing. If the cigar fails a a draw test. I don't know if it's within a certain parameter, or if it's just like a full fail. I don't know with like Perdomo, if it fails the draw test, they know who rolls each set of cigars that goes through testing. They pull that roller right out, and they take it apart. They look at why it was too tight or why whatever, and that roller has to roll another full complete cigar right then and there, that passes the test before they can get back in line, which is crazy how some of the quality control gets done at some of these factories. It's mind-blowing. And I know they're not the only ones doing it. They all do it to some degree.
Yeah, we do it too. Yep.
It's amazing too. And I think a lot of people they don't realize that too, just how much how hands-on the factory owners, the brand owners, people like you are just always looking out for the quality. I mean, obviously you don't want to put cigars in a box and just assume oh no, they're good. They go out there and half of everything you just sold to all these retailers is junk. Which it happens. It does happen. I've heard stories of retailers who have full boxes that were just a whole box of duds, and they'll swap that box out for the customer because it's the right thing to do. And it happens. And obviously it doesn't. You try not to let it happen, but it happens from time to time, and that's the thing. Cigars are a handmade product. A lot of people need to remember that sometimes it's handmade. Things can go wrong, things happen. Even the best rollers, they roll a couple of duds here and there. It's just natural, and it happens. It's all part of the business, right? So
yeah, we wanted to go from seed to cellophane. So when you take that cigar out of the cellophane, you're enjoying the smoke.
Yeah, I mean that's the way it should be. Now tell me a little bit more about your core lines. Anyway, we kind of talked a little bit about the background and some other stuff, but let's actually get right into the lineup of the brand. We don't.
Okay, we have. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
We have 15 blends in total. We have about 32 vitolas, 34 vitolas that we could pull out at any time that were predicate tobacco out of Dominican Republic sizes.
Yep.
So we have a Maduro line. We'll talk about a couple. We have the Maduro line. We have a Habano line out of Nicaragua that we just came out with a beautiful Habano Lonsdale. That was I didn't end up going to the show. And then there was a Connecticut. That's beautiful, a Connecticut cigar. It's a Sumatra binder with Nicaraguan fillers, Ecuadorian Connecticut. It's wonderful. And then we have our Dominican line, which has a Maduro, which has a Habano, and then we have our Gold Series back out of Nicaragua. That's what I'm smoking now, the San Andreas Box Press. So that's some of our lines. And then we have our limited edition Art of Magics we've been doing. We did one with Aganorsa that was phenomenal. We did another one with American Caribbean that was a Cameroon that sold out. And obviously we have more coming.
Yeah, I was looking at some of it before the show, and I go through the portfolios of the brands and whatnot, just so I have some preparation. Yeah, I mean there is a pretty nice lineup that you guys already have for a company that's only been around since 2010. I believe you said it was 2010.
Yeah.
So I mean, in 12 years, I mean, you guys have a decent, nice collection of cigars. And I can't remember. I know you guys were at TPE. Did you guys go to PCA this year?
No, we didn't do PCA. That's what I was just saying.
Yeah. So we didn't get to. And I believe you guys were at TPE this year. I think I saw that before. I don't think we met up with you guys, but I felt like you guys were there.
No, yeah, the year before.
The year before, yeah. So we weren't there we weren't there the year before. We were there this year, and we'll be there 2023.
Yeah, we had a magician at the table.
Oh, really?
It was pretty crazy.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Was it the whole time, or was it for like one of the days?
No, the whole time we hired a magician.
Wow.
We brought him down with us.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he's awesome.
No, that's cool. That's something different. We were talking to who were we talking to? Well, Carney was on one time, and I don't know if we were also talking to Dan Thompson. But we were talking about people do. I think it might have been Dan Thompson because McAuliffe did some interesting things.
It was before the PCA show.
Yeah, but we were talking about. I think it was Dan who brought it up. It was like things that people could do at the trade show to like just kind of make the booth like
More fun.
more fun, a different experience than just like your hi, how are you? Like I'm here to look at your cigars. Which I mean, I get it. It's part of the act, right? It's part of the gig. But a magician, now that's pretty cool. I mean, that's definitely for a trade show. That's different.
I was a magician since I'm 8 years old. I joined the Society of American Magicians that Harry Houdini started. I think it was 1902. So we put on the box the original Art of Magic. It was a tribute to magic, 1902, right on the box for Society of American Magicians. I joined it, I think, in 2007.
2000.
It's like it was a secret underground society, in Manhattan.
An underground magician society.
Yeah, so it's called SAM, and it's nationwide, but in Manhattan, it's the PA1, which was the first assembly.
Huh.
So it meets in weird areas of Manhattan and stuff like that. When I was a kid, I used to be like a gopher for magicians at a place called Rubens in New York City, and I would bring them coffee and learn magic tricks with them. It was fun.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had anyone who does magic on the show. I mean, we've had some people who do different things, but I don't think we've had magic on the show.
No.
I like that. I appreciate a good magician. I really do. You know, I think the only other thing.
Worked Wall Street, great.
So yeah, you've worked on Wall Street. You make cigars now.
But it worked great. So I was entertaining the tables. I'd make short shakers vanish, cards appear on the glasses. It was awesome.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to picture that at the trade show, and it's like you go up and you're like, oh hi, who are you guys? Oh, by the way, you want to see a magic trick? And it's like, what?
So you don't ask, right? So you really would typically just like go up to someone and just pull a flower out of their ear or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, wow, that's cool. Or you'd be in an elevator and you go to push the button and fire comes out of your finger. Weird shit like that.
Now, is this something that you regularly just like carry around with you? Like you'll be in a Starbucks and like you'll pull something out of there and you're like, who the fuck was that guy? And you just like have a nice day and you just leave.
No, but you know what? I probably should.
I mean, I know some magicians do. Like I've seen clips on social media, but like yeah, I mean that's just spontaneous magic where people are totally not ready for it, and then you just walk away like it didn't happen. Like, oh, have a nice day. And you're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, exactly. Right? What the fuck just happened?
Oh man. Now, so all right, so now I have a couple of new questions that I did not plan on asking.
I'm sure you do. Go ahead.
So let me ask you your opinion on this. When you go on social media and you see like there's a couple of guys out there I've seen who they make videos about revealing the secrets behind tricks.
Yeah, I got a problem with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how are these guys like? Are they just like ex-magicians that just don't care about the game anymore? And it's like, fuck them, I'm gonna show all the tricks and the secrets, or is it they genuinely think that people should know?
Okay, so one of the SAM rules: you never reveal a secret, or you never try to show another magician up, which I 100% agree on. Right?
Right.
That's the worst. When someone's performing and someone's like, "Oh, I know how to do it." It's terrible. So the guy who's actually out there, he was around once before. The guy who's actually out there doing that, I'm sorry, my daughter keeps running by the car. Revealing the secrets is crazy. I mean, it's like he's so bitter for some reason. Maybe he was thrown out of one of the societies.
I feel like
a lot of those tricks though that they do on social media is a lot of playing around with video too.
I feel like a lot of I feel if we're thinking of the same guy, because most of the time it's the same guy
with the mask on. Yeah.
I don't think he has a mask on. I think he's unmasked, and I think he does it with his kid. I think his kid helps him out sometimes, and he'll actually he'll turn things around and like show you like, okay, there's a trap door back here. This is what you don't see, and he'll go through the whole thing, and just like a minute and a half, 2 minutes of he'll do the trick real quick, and then he'll be like, all right, and he'll turn this thing around. He'll be like, there's a thing here, and there's like another thing, and then there's a fake ribbon. And he shows you the whole thing, and then there's been a few videos where I think his kid's in it with him. His kid helps him with bigger stuff, and he goes through the whole thing, and he'll take apart the props and show you how the props work. And it's like, dude, you just gave it away. At first you're like, oh cool, that's how they do it, but then it's like, well now it's not fun anymore because now I'm gonna be like, oh I know how they do that, and it's not mind blowing like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, to me, street magic was cool, right? Like, so I saw David Blaine once. He walked up to me in Wall Street, and he was doing a card magic trick. And there was like a bunch of people around us. I was blown away.
Really?
I love like performers that come right up to you and they're interactive. Like our industry, it's very interactive, right? So
Right.
he was doing an incredible card trick. To me, David Blaine's amazing.
We actually, so the last time I saw a magician was when we actually went. We were in Vegas last year.
Yeah, we saw Penn and Teller.
We saw Penn and Teller at the Rio, which we had never seen before, and it was like, hey, you know, we got to see Penn and Teller at least once. We could say we saw them.
Right.
The show, and I'm thinking, and I bring this up because I was also thinking, so they had a show. I don't know if they still do it. I don't know. I think you know this. I think you used to. Was it you who used to watch it? The show where they had like magicians come out and they would do a trick, and Penn and Teller had to try and figure out how they did the trick, like on the show. And if they couldn't figure out how it was done, then they won money or something like that.
No, they won like a spot to open for them in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, something
Yeah.
like yeah. Do they still do that show?
I mean, they did it. I think up to like.
Kevin,
last
did you
year.
see that show?
No, I never saw that show.
Yeah, I don't think if it's not on. I think it only ran for a couple of years.
I've
If
seen
it's not still running,
I've seen Copperfield, but I
Cop-
haven't seen that.
is that the only one you've seen?
No, I've seen a lot.
You've seen a lot, yeah.
Yeah, the show is Penn and Teller Fool Us.
Ah, yeah, that was a cool show. I mean, I didn't watch it all the time, but the few that I saw, it was actually pretty interesting. I gotta check that out again now that I'm thinking about it.
So the second art of magic is called the Cardition.
Okay.
So Cardition is based on a guy named Edward Marlowe. He was a cigar smoking magician, and he created the cigar deal that he could deal out and always have full royal flush or whatever. And he used to do it in the back room of this place called Julian's, where all the magicians in Chicago would meet. And he would do basically like seminars all the way up till he was probably, I don't know, in the 70s. The place doesn't exist anymore. Cardition means expert in card magic.
Right. Yeah.
That's why we made the box like a deck of cards. So you literally open it up like a deck of cards.
Yeah.
And then we had Jesse Flores design it, which came out beautiful.
So I feel like you got like your card magic. You got like, would you say street magic, card magic can be a part of street magic, or is street magic and card magic kind of still two separate different things?
No, street magic could be a part of card magic. Well,
Right.
card magic rather could be a part of street magic, like coin magic, like anything, right?
Yeah.
Because the magicians didn't have any money, couldn't afford anything. They would use coins, cards, whatever they had.
Yeah. And then you kind of go up to more sophisticated things, you know, like the sawing people in half, and
So that's what got me into magic. So there was this guy, the Amazing Randy. No, you could Google it. This guy, the Amazing Randy. And I was
That
8
sounds
years old or
familiar.
9 years old.
the Amazing Randy.
Yeah, and the Amazing Randy, and he buzzsawed a lady on half on stage, and you got to walk. The kids got to walk around. That was it. I was blown away.
Wow.
So then my father took me to Tannins in the city, which was it burnt. They had a fire at the time, but Tannins was like one of the Martinka and Tannins, like the oldest magic shops, and they were nice. They would like teach the kids at the shop. It was a lot of fun.
Magic. I didn't realize that we'd be getting so. Now I'm already set up for my top three because like the original top three went out the window. I got a whole new top three now. I got a whole new top three. I think we might.
That's not on any of my. Yeah, that's not on any of my profiles. So I threw you a curveball.
So now that I got a all new plan now. I got a whole new plan. Well, let's hit the news really quick so that I can keep working my way to the top three. Because now I gotta get to my top three. Our news this week is brought to you once again by McAuliffe Cigars. If you head over to McAuliffeCigars.com today, you can sign up to become an official ambassador where you'll get your ambassador coin, your ambassador number. And while you're at it, head over to McAuliffe's Facebook group for the McAuliffe Ambassadors group and join that group as well and meet some awesome people. Andy Yaffe was on Cigar Coop the other night with Coop and Bear, and it was a great time. All the ambassadors came out, and it was another almost 4-hour show for Cigar Coop. So let's give a round of applause to Coop for doing another marathon show, as he is known for. Our news this week, so, you know, we did an extensive coverage of the LFD NFT over the last couple of weeks. We're really heavily involved with that, and it was great. And I know everyone's probably sick of hearing about it because there was so much of it that we talked about. However, there is a new NFT that has entered the market, and very similar to the LFD NFT. A lot of similarities, and a lot of people were like, if this goes well, I could see another company doing this, and who's it going to be? And people were like, Fuente, Drew Estate. And I think people kept thinking of, like, who's got, like, really, like, fancy unicorn-like cigars that they could, like, do something with this with, and a company who's big enough to kind of, invest into pulling it off. So we already have the answer, and it's very interesting. Tatuaje will be teaming up with Abe and Smokin to do a NFT of the Anarchy, which many may remember as the microblend that Abe's known for his microblends at Smokin. Tatuaje Anarchy was a microblend. Now the Anarchy is now going to become the NFT, the next NFT. There will be 7 of them available. The only difference is Abe is going to keep one for himself at Smokin. The other 6 are going to be sold off, very similar to the way LFD did it. And I believe it also, so you get the digital file, like all the NFTs, even the LFD one, there was still that traditional digital NFT non-fungible token thing that was part of it. But in addition, you'll also get the rights to buy these cigars. And I want to say it's 15 boxes a quarter.
Yes, they're doing theirs quarterly.
They're doing theirs quarterly. LFD's doing it monthly. But it's around the same allotment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get a box to start with,
Mhm.
and then they get the rights to purchase per quarter. I believe 15 boxes, and it's what, $15 a cigar?
Yeah, 15
Yeah.
bucks. No, 14?
14.
I think it's 14. But, it's still within that same window. And a lot of people were talking about LFD having the Andalusian Bull NFT having an MSRP. It does not. It does not have an MSRP. There is a price of $12 to $15. I don't think the number was decided upon yet. But LFD had announced the price of the cigar that they sell to the owner of the NFT from the factory was going to be between 12 and 15. But whatever they choose to sell it for is up to them. There is no set, suggested retail price. That number is what they're selling to. I assume it's going to be the same with these. It's $14 per cigar to the owner of that NFT. It's not necessarily what you're going to pay it if a retailer buys it. It's not what you're going to pay at their store. You're probably going to pay a lot more than that. But it'll be interesting. So I didn't expect to see the next cigar NFT like this kind of come into play. And within a week of the LFD one ending, Tatuaje Smokin announced this, which is really cool. Curious to see if that continues to draw more brands and companies into doing more of these. It seems like this could become the
It's definitely a trend right now.
yeah, this could be the thing for the next couple of years, and then maybe people might get sick of it and find something else. But I would say at least for a little while, this may be the thing. And we're already seeing the next iteration. Now, the first iteration was United Cigar did it with their Atabey line, although there was no physical cigar involved. It was just the actual NFT, just the file, the rights to the image or whatever. So now this is only the second NFT in the cigar industry that actually has cigars attached to it. So very interesting stuff. Very interesting. So Kevin, I don't know if you follow this NFT stuff very well. I've gotten to learn it myself just because of covering the ones in the cigar industry, but it's still kind of complicated to me a little bit, and to a lot of people. I just feel like people still don't really get it.
Yeah, I mean, I follow it a little bit. They're going to be selling houses with NFTs soon. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know, and I didn't realize that it's still part of the blockchain of which cryptocurrency operates on.
Right, so the blockchain is the DNA of the actual cryptocurrency, yeah. So
Now,
what is it, on Ethereum?
I believe, yeah, they're using Ethereum. Well, I don't know. LFD used Ethereum. I believe they used Ethereum. I'm not sure what Smokin is using. I'm gonna scan through this really quick. I don't, or maybe they didn't say yet. But I know that the LFD one was definitely Ethereum.
I don't think they mentioned yet because it's also not happening until 2023.
Right.
So
Right,
I'm
so there
sure
you
more
go.
details will come.
They're probably still working on that. I just didn't know if maybe they already knew, but
I think they announced it in their fine-tuning the details is what it sounds like.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very, it's interesting stuff. It's the thing of the future, I guess, right? This is the trend of the future in the industry. We'll see how long it lasts, but at least for now, I mean, it seems to be now there's another one that's going to happen. So we'll see.
I'm curious to see what those ones sell for.
It's very true. I think a lot of people thought that the LFD ones were going to sell for a lot less than they did. In total, I think they did $614,000. It'll be curious to see how well Smokin and Tatuaje do with theirs. Setup being very similar, very different. There's also, in theory, there's less available to the public to try and buy because Abe's going to keep one. So actually only 6 are really available to buy. LFD didn't keep any. They sold all 7. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting. Definitely a moneymaker. You know, you can pull it off. You can sell them. You know, good for you. That's awesome.
Yep.
I want to go right to our top 3 now because I want to do it, and I already have some questions, and I don't want to lose my momentum from before
Go ahead.
with our magician talk. So, all right, our top 3 our top 3 this week is once again brought to you by Room101 Cigars.
Watch the Smokin Tabacco show. Eat your vegetables. Take your vitamins. Smoke Room 101.
That guy's do you know Matt Booth?
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a magician in his own way.
Can you imagine if they like worked together on a booth? He had a stripper pole at his PCA booth. Could you make a stripper
Shocker.
disappear? I feel like there could be some combo happening there.
Matt, if Matt was here, this is what Matt would say, and I'm not just saying this. Matt would look into the camera and say, "Kevin, I'll show you how to make certain things disappear." And then he would just stare at you. Yeah, exactly. And then he wouldn't say anything, but it would be insinuated that it would be very sexual, and that he would make things disappear, because that's what Matt does. But yeah, he is a great dude. But like I said, he's his own magician. So, so out the window, new plan, top 3 all-time favorite magicians. If you want to rank them, you can, but you don't have to. It can be
No, that's easy. But what I'm saying is like, what was the original top 3? I'm just curious. Cigars or baseball players? I'm just curious. Where that
probably
was,
baseball. Baseball.
Okay.
We had Miguel Shadell from Crown Heads on last week, also a baseball fan.
Right.
Did baseball with that. Talk a lot of baseball with Coop and Barry Stein this past weekend.
Right.
So baseball has definitely been a heavy theme. But now I'm like, no, now we're going with magicians. Now we gotta stick with this magic thing, because that's way more interesting to me.
So number one is Houdini.
Okay.
No doubt in my mind. He the most famous trick I ever saw Houdini do. He would take a card. You would pick a card, and then he would never see the card. He would set the deck on fire, and he would take the ashes from that one card that he would just randomly take ashes, rub them on the arm, and the card would appear.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild.
That is wild. That's wild. Do you think Houdini?
Besides all the great escape stuff he did, breaking up seances, proving they were fakes, and all that stuff, he did some pretty crazy stuff, Houdini.
Do you think Houdini was ahead of his time?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
What year did he die?
I don't even remember.
I know I didn't expect you to know, but I don't know if maybe you did.
I know when he started Sam, but I don't know what year he died.
That would be
1926.
October 31st, 1926.
That's 26. Oh, well, I knew he died Halloween. I just forgot what year.
Halloween 26.
Do you know what country he was born in?
Yeah, he was born in, I think it was Amsterdam or Hungary, one of them.
Hungary.
His name was Ehrlich Weiss. Yeah. His real name was Ehrlich Weiss. And then years later, they found out that he was a double agent, which was shocking.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Interesting.
Which was shocking, too.
Yeah, he's definitely a very interesting guy.
Okay, so number 2 is Di Vernon.
Okay.
Di Vernon was the second man to be able to pull a card out of the center of the deck. There was a guy named Alan Kennedy from Kansas City, Missouri, who Di Vernon went to go watch, who had a saloon in Kansas City back in the day, and who would constantly winning poker games. And he learned the center deal, which nobody can do. So Di Vernon, and plus he was the king of the salt shakers, the king of close-up magic. Di Vernon was probably the second best magician.
Okay. I hadn't
Number
heard.
three
I
is a
hadn't heard of
toss-up.
him. I'm gonna have to look him up after.
Oh, one of the best. Number 3 is a toss-up between Darwin Ortiz, Frank Thomas, not baseball. A couple other guys. I would have to give it. I don't know. Then there was Paul Harris. Paul Harris was an incredible card magician with a quirky personality. Alex Elmsley invented all the different magician counts. So there's just so many. I would probably give it to either Darwin Ortiz or Alex Elmsley.
Okay. I'm gonna
Best close-up magicians.
I'm gonna have to do some more magician research after the show because it's definitely not a department that I've read up a lot. No, but honestly, like I would find it interesting, especially when it's like historical figures. Like I love that shit. You know, I'll get sucked into like reading about stuff online for like 3 hours.
So Alex Elmsley was the king of wallet tricks, right? Like he had all these these little group card tricks that he would do, and he invented constantly. And then Ron Frost from Tannins would recreate them into like the weirdest shit in the world. So it was a lot of thinking out of the box.
Yeah, a lot of thinking on your feet.
Yeah, I mean those are close-up magicians. I mean, if you go to illusionists, Blackstone was pretty good too. Blackstone was another one that was great.
So
Best coin magician was David Roth.
So you'd put illusionists more in like in their own category of just like that's a whole.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Okay. Now Allison Trainer is here. Allison Trainer is here with us tonight too. I want to give her a shout out. She's been commenting along, and I wanted to give her a shout out.
Oh, I haven't been seeing the comments.
Okay, so she is here. She's commenting along. She has a question though, and I wanted to bring this up. What was Houdini's favorite card?
4 clubs.
4 clubs. Now, is there a reason? I don't know. She just asked that question, but I don't know. Is there a reason why he liked that card? That was just his card. Okay.
There might be a reason behind it, but I don't know it. But that was his favorite card.
Interesting. I wouldn't even think to ask that question too. That's an interesting one. Like, what's his favorite card? It's like it's actually a very good question. Just not one I would have thought of myself. Like, you know, especially when it comes to you do a lot of card magic. Well, what's your favorite card to use? Oh, well, that's a good point.
Come on, his family's from Massachusetts, right?
What was that?
His family's from Mass.
Whose family?
He was Houdini's. He was buried. Check that out. He was buried in Maspeth, Queens, and he has relatives that live in Massachusetts.
Let me look. Let's see. I know he died in Detroit. He was an active Freemason, and he was a member of St. Cecil Lodge number 568 in New York City. Let me see.
I was told that he has relatives in Massachusetts.
Houdini gravesite.
Maspeth.
Legacy.
And it's so weird. You go to that gravesite, I swear to God, you feel like there's like a feeling in that cemetery. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't see it. I'm trying to scan through kind of quickly here. But I don't see.
Not that we have his.
If I find it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, like I'll. Yeah, definitely. That'd be interesting.
My wife's family's from Reading, so.
Oh, that's not too far from us. Probably like 25 minutes away.
Yeah.
25, 30 minutes.
Yeah, her grandfather was like a high school principal or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, it's not too far away. It's up north a little bit, just up the highway. It's up 95. It's not too far. Oh. Thank you, Don Mancini. Congrats, guys, on 3 years. Forgot to mention that. Today is 3 years of Smokin Tabacco. Thank you very much, Kevin. It is 3 years of Smokin Tabacco. Not the show. People want to, well, what about the show? The show anniversary that we do with the fundraisers, just for the show. Smokin Tabacco as a whole and all of the things we do, that all started September 1st, 2019. So today is the real anniversary day of Smokin Tabacco as a whole. It's 3 years. can't believe it's already been that long. Time goes by fast. Kevin and I were talking about this before the show. We were talking about before, and just amazing how fast it goes. I remember registering the domain name for the website and starting the Facebook page, and just putting it together, and there was no one following it, and there was nothing on there, and it was just it was before I even met Nicole. I mean, it was not that long ago, but just so much has happened since then that it feels like it was like 10 years ago. But yeah, I can't believe, and to be honest, I forgot about it. I forgot about it until like 1 o'clock this afternoon. I was like, oh shit, that's today. And I was just completely not even aware of it, and I remembered, and I was like, oh, that's, yeah. And then I stopped and I thought back, and I was like, I can't believe it's already been 3 years. We've done so much. It's crazy. So yes, today is 3 years of Smokin Tabacco. So exciting stuff. Kevin, before we do wrap up the show, we spent a lot of time talking about magic and stuff, which was awesome, and it completely caught me off guard. And now I'm like all excited to learn more about magician stuff, because I will read about it. I shit you not, I will go on like Wikipedia and whatever, and I'll read about that for like 5 hours later as I try to fall asleep. So that's awesome. That's gonna be my night tonight. So, but getting back to Rock-A-Feller Cigars, we talked about your core line and some stuff. So is there anything that you can maybe tease us with or talk about that you're working on that maybe we can expect in the near future, or maybe going into next year? I know we're getting in kind of the end of the year now, so
I'll just tease you this way. How's that?
Okay.
I was at Aganorsa's factory. I was at AJ's factory. And I was at Placencia's factory. I'll leave it at that.
Those are all good factories.
Yeah.
Those are all good factories. Okay. All right. That's that definitely gives us something to be itching to hear more about. That's exciting stuff. Okay. All right. Now, are you guys going to be at TPE 2023? This coming?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. That'd be cool. So we'll be there too. We'll be doing coverage there. Not a lot of details on that yet. Obviously, it's still months away, but we will be there. And Kevin will hopefully catch up with you at TPE this time around. It'll be awesome to see you, catch up, and check out your booth. And hopefully there's some magic there, because I know we definitely want to see that. So make sure you bring some magic to the show again. But before we let you go, anything else you wanted to say, or anything you want to plug, promote, say? The floor is yours.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, thank you guys for having me on. It was a wonderful show. I'm glad we got on the angle of magic, because Rock-A-Feller is going that way. We call it the magic. Allison actually came up with the hashtag, the magic of Rock-A-Feller.
Okay,
so it brings
that's
the
cool.
whole brand into the whole magic thing, yeah. And we were using Jesse Flores to do some of our artwork. He used to be with True Estate.
Yep.
And we like coming out with limited editions. We feel like the hardest demographic to hit is the millennials and the generation afterwards, because a lot of these kids are vaping, and you know what I mean? Cigars were a status symbol. When you first were able to smoke a cigar, you were important, you were going into business, and we like to make them like very out of the box thinking, you know what I'm saying, to attract them more. Not with offering like kid stuff and bullshit like that, but just like out of the box as much as possible to get attraction.
Yeah, no,
I think the younger generation, I mean, look, when the older generation fades off, hence why General created Forge, right?
Yeah.
Their growth was not so much higher. They didn't have much to grow. They had to either buy a boutique or create boutiques. They had to. They had no choice to grow in the industry.
No, 100%.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. And what did they do? They created Forge, and then they bought Room 101, and now they have that brand. I think that'll be really good for them, and it'll be good for Matt too.
And they got the right guy running it. Yeah, they got Matt. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. They got the right guy. He definitely can appeal to that demographic too, and some of the stuff he does. And yeah, I think it's going to be great for them, and it'll be interesting to see how that continues to work.
I'm always amazed because the IPA market took so much of the beer market. I mean, you take the whole world beer market, right?
Yeah.
Maybe IPAs is 17% of it. Do you know how big that is? That's enormous.
Yeah.
17, 18% of the IPA market. But boutique brands have not taken that in the cigar industry yet, but I think they will. Over the next 3 to 5 years, I think you're going to see an overcoming of that, because a lot of the new smokers, a lot of the minority smokers and women smokers that are coming in have open minds. they're trying all different new things, and that's stuff that grandfathers were smoking and stuff like that. And I think it's really going to boost sales of boutique brands.
Yeah, I remember being a kid. I mean, I didn't drink beer when I was a little kid, but I mean, I just remember being like a
Right.
younger kid, and like you'd go to the liquor store, the grocery store, like with your parents, and like, you know, it was Bud Light, Bud, Miller. You had, you know, the usual suspects. You had like Heineken, and there would be some Guinness, and you know, a couple of imported stuff, right? And that was it. That's all they had. Now you go to some of these stores, and half the store is beer because you have your usual suspects, and then you get all these like craft breweries and microbreweries that come in, and they need more these liquor stores. They need more space because they have all these different things
Right.
that they have to showcase. And you're right. I think that it has changed, and you see like that younger demographic. It's all about craft beer and IPAs
Right.
and microbreweries and all that stuff. And I think you're right. I think the same can happen with the boutique cigar market too. You talk
It
about
totally can.
you can even talk about you can make the argument on bourbon, right? You know, 15 years ago, you could buy old Rip Van Winkle, Pappy Van Winkle 15 year. You could buy it on the shelf at most liquor stores. It was sitting there waiting for $65. It was nothing special. And then all of a sudden, Anthony Bourdain says, "You guys got to drink this Pappy Van Winkle stuff." And now people pay $2,000 a bottle for it if they can find it. This bourbon
Right.
market,
Same thing with
it's you see
yeah,
the, you
Eagle
s-
Rail went through the roof.
yeah, see, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bottles. You look at the Weller lines, the Blanton's line, Eagle Rare, even other stuff from Heaven Hill Distillery, stuff that used to just be sitting on shelves. Some of those brands are newer, but some of that's been around, it's sitting on shelves, and now like you get all these, and I find that a lot of the people drinking these bourbons are younger people. I find that a
Right.
lot of people within our age demographic, you know, the mid 20s to the mid 30s, you know, those are the people who are really like going out, looking for these, tracking them down, collecting them. It's a whole thing. There's groups on Facebook for it. It's a whole like society now on these like hard to find bourbons. Not something I ever heard of before, like 5-6 years ago. So yeah, I think there's definitely a market for that in the cigar industry as well. I mean, we've seen it in other industries, and you know, who would have thought that 20-year-olds were like hunting down, you know, barrel-proof bourbon? That's always been like your grandfather's whiskey, right?
It's crazy, right? Right. Exactly.
And now you
And all
got
the amount of Facebook groups have blown up over the last 5 years is insane.
So I think if they can do it, I think you're right. I think the cigar industry can do it. The cigar industry might be a little bit slower to it, but I think eventually they'll build up to it and they'll get there. And when they do, I think it'll completely change the industry even more than it already has. So you know,
Right.
time will tell. But with that, we are getting towards the end of the show, so I do have to wrap up. So Kevin, I want to thank you once again for coming on the show with us tonight. It's been a magical time, no pun intended. It's been a great time. It has been a fun show, so thank you for being here with us, and we look forward to catching up with you in the future.
You got it, Matt and Nicole. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you for watching with us. Thank you for listening at home on the podcast apps. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcasts, Podbean, Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get them. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. And with that, we'll see you next week. Take care, guys.